नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण कृष्णाय श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नाम सरस्वती देवे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी Jai. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, entitled Status Quo, Chapter 9, Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy. Text number 31. We'll all do Mangal Charan. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vangsha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagvat Sevayat Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Jai. Text 31. Tatatmani lokecha Tatatmani loke Bhakti yukta samahitaha Bhakti yukta samahitaha Drashtasi mam tatam brahman Drashtasi mam brahman Mahi lokam swamatmanaha Mahi lokam swamatmanaha Tatatmani lokecha Tatatmani lokecha Bhakti yukta samahitaha Samahita Drashtasi mam tatam brahman Drashtasi mam tatam brahman Mahi lokam swamatmanaha Lokam swamatmanaha Vaishnavas Tatatmani lokecha Bhakti Yukta Samahitaha Drashtasi Mam Tatam Brahman Mayi Lokam Tatatmanaha Tatatmani Lokecha Bhakti Yukta Samahitaha Drashtasi Mam Tatam Brahman Mayi Lokam Swamatmanaha Tatatmani Lokecha Bhakti Yukta Samahitaha Drashtasi Mam Tatam Brahman Mayi Lokam Swamatmanaha Tatatmani Lokecha Bhakti Yukta Samahitaha Drashtasi Mam Tatam Brahman Mayi Lokam Swamatmanaha. Word for word. Tataha. Thereafter. Atmani. In yourself. Loke. In the universe. Cha. Also. Bhakti Yuktaha. Being situated in devotional service. Samahitaha. Being completely absorbed. Drashtasi, you shall see. Mam, me, tatam, spread throughout. Brahman, O Brahma, Mayi, in me. Lokan, all the universe. Tvam, you. Atmanaha, the living entities. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Chanarvind, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. O Brahma, when you are absorbed in devotional service, in the course of your creative activities, you will see me in you and throughout the universe. And you will see that you yourself, the universe, and the living entities are all in me. Jai. Purport. It is cited herein by the Lord that during his daytime, Brahma would see him as Lord Sri Krishna. He would appreciate how the Lord expanded himself into all the calves during his childhood at Vrindavana. He would know how Yashoda Mai saw all the universes and planetary systems within the mouth of Krishna during his playful childhood pastimes. And he would also see that there are many millions of Brahma during the appearance of Lord Krishna in Brahma's daytime. But all these manifestations of the Lord appearing everywhere in his eternal transcendental forms cannot be understood by anyone but the pure devotees who are always engaged in devotional service to the Lord and are fully absorbed in the Lord. The high qualification of Brahma are also indicated herein. Jai. So here is preaching to the firstborn, right? So, usually in a Grihastha life, if you have a firstborn child, then that firstborn is, given great position. How is the firstborn? So now Brahma is the firstborn, right? So he's given a great position. Now Krishna sees Brahma. And when Krishna sees Brahma, Krishna is giving him instructions, right? And because he's giving instructions to the firstborn, and there is closeness in that. I have 2 kids now. So I still have more attachment to the firstborn. You always do. Because it's the firstborn where you burn your fingers. Right? You burn your fingers at the first one, right? The second kid, you're like, yeah, sick, okay. That's what happened with the first one. So, because from the second one, it's a repetition. Right? So you remember the first time when you heard Krishna consciousness or when you first chanted, you'll be like, that's nice taste, right? And now you're like, where's that taste gone? Happens. But the idea is that in the firstborn, there is taste. And so now Krishna, seeing Brahma dedicated, seeing Brahma surrendering, Krishna is now giving advice. And he's giving advice in this particular shloka about Yukta Vairagya. Right? And so the interesting thing is when you look at Yukta Vairagya, you start seeing the Advaita philosophy. This is interesting. So you may see in Vrindavan, how come these people are, sitting on Krishna's shoulder and saying, Krishna, you lost the wrestling match, carry me. I won. You carry me on your shoulders. Or how come Nanda Maharaj is saying, okay, Mother Yashoda, your Krishna is a good boy. Krishna, bring my slippers. And you've seen that picture, a beautiful picture, right? Like Krishna holding the slippers and walking. So the idea here is that how come in Yukta Vairagya they are not able to understand Krishna is the supreme? Because here that glance is given, that view is given, that actually when you do proper Bhakti Yukta Vairagya, right, then the Advaita philosophy comes in. Then you're treating as normal. Oh, this is Krishna. He's my friend. Oh, this is Krishna. He's my son. Oh, this is Krishna. He's my lover. Oh, this is Krishna. He's my master. Like, in whatever mood, the five rasas. So the idea here is that in that Advaita, you stop seeing the difference. Right? So in our Vedic schools, and when I say Vedic schools, I'm talking about Vedic schools that are theistic. Okay, we have atheistic schools as well, like we have Nyaya, Vaisheshika. So we have atheistic, but we have theistic schools as well. So in the theistic schools, we have 6 main philosophies that have changed the course of our conversations. So the very first, of course, Buddhism had come along. So we have Shankaracharya come in and he brings the Advaita philosophy, right? So you're Buddhist, but you're following the Vedas. You're still Buddhist, at least you're following the Vedas, right? Then we have Ramanujacharya, he brings the Vishishtha Dvaita philosophy. Then we have Vishnu Swami, he brings the Vishuddha Dvaita philosophy. Then we have, who am I missing? Nimbarka. So we have Nimbarkacharya, he brings Dvaita, Advaita philosophy. Right? Then we have Madhvacharya, the hammer. Right? Madhvacharya, son of Vayu. So, hammer, like Hanuman, Bhima, heavy. Son of Vayu, right? So heavy. So then he is no Dvaita. No? You people, always getting into all this Advaita stuff. No, Dvaita. Then you have finally Lord Chaitanya. Achintya, Bheda, Abheda Tattva. So, bringing all 5 schools, bringing them all in and saying, now here's the single philosophy that stitches, Sandarbha, right? The stitches everything together. So now, in our Lord Chaitanya say, Achintya Bheda. So what you will notice is, we have Bheda. So Bheda is in philosophy, there is Bheda. Right? There is Krishna there, and there is us. Right? So there is me, there is you. So there is Bheda. There is that distinguishing, the difference is there. There is a difference. But then in functioning, right? So if someone has to do deity worship, what is he doing? He is going next to Krishna. He's saying, this Krishna, no, this doesn't look good. We'll put this one. Are you seeing that? So that now there is your choice. Now, is it your choice or is it Krishna's choice? What's going on here? So there is that mix. So then that Advaita comes in. So it is very nicely explained that sometimes there is a thought that, Madhvacharya's philosophy was slightly different to Ramanuja's presentation. It isn't. Madhvacharya was simply trying to say, okay, so nicely has Ramanujacharya explained Vishishtha Dvaita, that you people are not understanding, you are still focusing on the Advaita, then I'm coming in and saying, okay, enough now, it's only Dvaita. It's only Krishna as, Narayana as a supreme, and then there is us, like that complete distinguish is there. So now, Lord Chaitanya says, no, actually there is a mix. Actually it's a mix, right? And so that's why there's a beautiful shloka, right, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vadanti tat tattva vidas, tattvat yaj jnanam, and that word, Advayam. Advayam means non-dual substance. Non-dual substance. See, that's the key word. No, Advayam. Non-dual substance. And so that non-dual substance is Brahmayati, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaniti. The 3 positions, right? 1, 2 and 3. And so it is these 3 positions of understanding that makes the first shloka of Vedanta Sutra. So what is the first shloka of Vedanta Sutra? Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Right? So now our Acharya, Jiva Goswami, and of course, Baladev Vidya Bhushan, Right? Baladev Vidyabhushan wrote Govinda Bhasya on Vedanta Sutra. So he is explaining this Brahma Jigyasa. And he's saying this Brahma Jigyasa are actually these three. This is the Advaitam that you have to understand. Advayam. That it is, you have to understand Brahman. Then you have to understand Paramatma. Finally, you have to understand Bhagavan. And it is important to understand these three. Right? Because sometimes we may come in front of Krishna. Me, I can tell personally. Right? Krishna, you didn't help me. I was in trouble, you didn't help me. Yeah, but at that time, the Paramatma principle is working. There is a localized controller. And so therefore the situation is different. Are you getting? So then that Paramatma principle comes in. And then sometimes Brahman principle comes in. So the three principles keep interchanging depending on your functioning situation. Right? Like when you see Krishna dealing with the Yagna Brahmanas. Right? So the Yagna Brahmanas are into Paramatma realization. Right? But he has Bhagavan. So what are the boys saying? What is Madhumangal and everybody saying? Supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna demands prasadam. Demands food. All that you have cooked, offer to him. Your glory will be, achieved. Brahma saying, oh, you fool. This is for Vishnu. So, there is all of that. In Gopal Champu, something very beautiful is explained here by Jiva Goswami. He actually explains that after the Brahmin wives go, right? And they, give the bhoga offerings to Krishna. How is it that the Brahmanas after that understood that, oh, actually he is the supreme? How did that happen? Because it is explained that when they came back, all their houses had now become opulent. Opulence had been filled. So now the Brahmanas have that much realization that, if there is, Vaikunta, because in the Paramatma feature, right? So Vaikunta is there. So they can see Vaikunta now. Now they can see it. So now they're realizing, oh, they were actually correct. You see, post-mortem. We are all good at post-mortem, right? Get hit and now we're like, okay, actually I should have done this. It's not life. This is life, right? So these Brahmanas, after that point, they realize, oh, okay, there is, this Paramatma realization, but actually Bhagavan was in front of us, so we should have, thought differently. Because they can now see from their wives that, oh, I can see the result. And so therefore, my realization should have been one step up. I was giving a Sunday talk and I was explaining that how in these three realizations, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti and Bhagwaniti, we see Lord Chaitanya smash the three Bhattacharyas. Right? The three Bhattacharyas. So in Brahmeti, we have our Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He smashes him. Right? Then in Paramatmeti, we have Venkata Bhattacharya. Venkata Bhattacharya was that, devotee, and he was saying that, we just pray to Lord Vishnu, and he says, oh yeah, if you pray to Lord Vishnu, then why does Lakshmi want to enter Rasa Leela? He's asking these questions. Why is it that when the gopis saw Narayan, they said, thank you, where is Krishna? Why? Why these things are happening? So then, he goes through that conversation. And then finally in Bhagwaniti, we have Vallabha Bhattacharya. And then he deals very differently with Vallabha Bhattacharya. And the idea through all of these three is Lord Chaitanya is explaining that if you're simply, no, I'm devotee now, and like this. No. You have to bring the Achintya Bheda. You have to get that Dasanudas, that principle. So it's very amazing, isn't it? When you read all of this, you're like, wow, Lord Chaitanya doesn't spare anybody. Doesn't spare anyone. Sometimes you're thinking, oh no, do you know there's that beautiful section in Chaitanya Charitamrita where, I forget, there's a Brahmana, he's a poet. He's a poet and he's doing poetry. And so he writes very nice poetry and then he requests, he tells all the Vaishnavas his poetry and they're like, very good poetry, very good poetry. And then they're saying that, can you request Lord Chaitanya to hear my poetry? And so then obviously it is explained that anything that went to Lord Chaitanya came through Swarup Damodar Maharaj, right? So, I apologize, not Maharaj. Swarup Damodar, his servant, right? Maharaj is different. So Swarup Damodar is listening, and then he smashes this Brahmana. He says that, you are writing here that Lord Chaitanya, you have put life into the wooden form of Jagannath. You think Jagannath's form is wooden? And he's hammering this guy. Now, I'll be very honest, when I first read that, I was thinking, it's pretty good poetry. When you first read it, you're like, that's pretty good. Nice, nice emotion. And then Swarup Damodar is like smashing, you're like, oh, okay, maybe not so good. So this point is that sometimes we may be in that Bhagwaniti stage. We may be in that stage, but in that dealing, Sometimes there are problems. And so the idea that because you're in the association of devotee, the idea because there are other, so somehow that gets rectified, that rectification takes place. So then this Brahmana is, he's saying, yes, actually this poetry is not correct. He's saying, and then, he's saying, and then see the beauty, okay? First, Swarup Damodar hammers him. Then he says, but then again, you see the beauty, right? But then again, okay, oh, there is this, yes, Lord Chaitanya is like this, Lord Chaitanya is like, so then he also glorifies Lord, like he accepts both positions. He accepts the glorification, but he removes all the bad parts. So he is showing the Bheda, and then he's also showing the Abheda. Are you noticing how Swarup Damodar is dealing? He's showing the Bheda, and he's showing the Abheda. He's showing both of them together. Right? So this is Lord Chaitanya's presentation. So this is Bhakti Yukta. So this Bhakti Yukta that we had, right? And in Bhakti Yukta, Samahitaha. It is complete. It is complete. Samahitaha. It is covering everything. Right? And so that is why now when you will start reading some of these words, there you will get to see this Advaitism in it, right? You will see me in you, and throughout the universe. There is one Indian guru. I forget his name. But there was one, meme that was flowing around where he's telling, I am the me in you talking to the me in me with the me in me and the me in you. So there's some weird thing that he's saying, okay? And so when you hear that and you laugh, but then when you're reading here, you're saying, hey, I can see a bit of that. I can see a little bit of these principles that you will see me in you, and throughout the universe, you will see that you yourself, the universe and the living entities are all in me. So you can see a little bit of that word jugglery. Can you see a little bit? Right? So this is presenting that Advaitism. Right? Because what happens is in our philosophy, we clearly understand the distinguish, right? But when you are functioning means when you're doing the bhakti process, then you see similarity. Now do you know why we say Sakshat Hari Tvena? Now do you see why we say the Sakshat part? Because if someone reads that, he'll be like, hey, this is Advaita. Yes. The answer is yes, it is Advaita philosophy. Answer is yes. Right? But that Advaita, that Advaita principle is this. That in Bhakti Yukta, when it comes to function, that's why we say, oh, devotees are so great. Why make that statement? Right? If there is Krishna, so Krishna is great and you are okay. Right? You are okay. Why are you great? Krishna is great. You are okay. Allahu Akbar, you are okay. Right? So you are making that clear delineation. But no, in the functioning, the devotee is also great. Are you noticing? In the functioning aspect, that is why Vrindavan is so great. Why otherwise, why are we so worried about the Dham? Because Dham is just a place. Why so much respect to the Dham? Why so much respect to the devotees? Why so much respect to the deities? Because Advaitam. Are you getting how the two are very nicely molding with each other? Right? And so this is the presentation of Lord Chaitanya's philosophy. Right? So this is what he wants Lord Brahma to see. He says, my dear Brahma, you have been doing your tapa. Okay? Why have you been doing tapa? Because you can notice the Bheda. You can notice nothing's functioning. You can notice the Bheda. Now, you are asking for creative energy. Right? But whose energy is it? Whose is the Shrishti Tattva? The Shrishti Tattva is whose? It's not Brahma's. It is Krishna's energy. So now if Krishna is giving that energy, now we are looking at Brahma and thinking, wow, you're so great. Are you seeing how all the philosophies are now coming together? This is why Lord Chaitanya's principle brings everything together. So that in the explanation of this first Vedanta Sutra, there is the word no athatho. So it's explained that athatho is broken as atha and atho. Right? The word athatho is broken as atha and atho. So atha and atho becomes athatho. Right? So it's explained that the atha, this atha principle, is for those who are into karma, who are into jnana. So, in the Vedas you have Samhitas and the Brahmanas. So the atha is for the Samhita and the Brahmanas, or what we call as Purva Mimamsas. Athatho, which is Aranyaka and Upanishads, right? That is Athatho, which is Purva Mimamsa. Right? So we are saying Atha and Athatho, having read all of this, thus Athatho, therefore, Brahma Jigyasa. Come to this realization of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Right? So this is how Baladev Vidyabhushan and Jiva Goswami are, they have written 15 pages on this. Atha and Atho. In the, explaining what the words actually means. But the opening principle is Atha and Athato are Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. Saying, having understood all of this philosophy, all of the Shrutis, you have now understood Brahma Jigyasa. Understand who is Brahman. And when we are saying Brahman, we are talking about the Advayam, the non-dual substance. So it's Brahman, Paramatmeti, and then Bhagavaniti. You cannot just say that, oh, Brahman is only this. And they so logically present it. Because they are saying, so Samshaya means doubt, right? So sometimes Samshaya comes, maybe this is just Brahman. Maybe it's not Bhagavan. Then the next shloka comes. What is the next sutra? Janmadi asya yatha. Right? So that is the second sutra. He's saying, so now here it is saying that it is creating, maintaining and destroying. What does that mean? It means it has form, it has emotions, it is Bhagavan. Are you getting how the acharyas are presenting this? How Baladev Vidyabhushan writes this and how Jiva Goswami is explaining. Right? And he's explaining that because it's a sutra means everything is written connected to each other. You cannot just take one out of context. Something interesting, Shankaracharya, when he writes his Shariraka Bhasya, right? His interpretation of Vedanta Sutra, he doesn't interpret every sutra. Because if he does, the Dvaita philosophy will come out. So he only does some of them. Are you understanding? Interestingly, he only does some. He'll do the first, he won't do the second. So only some of them, he won't do all. And then what he then writes is, and so on, so forth, you can interpret. He's not doing all of them because it is hard. Because if you were to sit down and just read Vedanta Sutra, you'd be like, oh yeah, Bhagavan is the topmost. Because it's actually very clear when you just read it. Right? And so this is interesting. Why this is interesting is Lord Brahma is sitting here and he's asking Krishna, you give me the creative impetus. Right? Give me that creative energy, the Shrishti Tattva, so I can present this creation. But Lord Krishna is saying that in all of this process, you have to see me. Right? In all of this. Now, let us, run. We are right now in 3, but now let us run all the way to Canto 11. Okay, so we'll do a runner now, right? We are here, but we're now going to run all the way to Canto 11. So now in Canto 11, what is happening? The Kumaras are asking, Lord Brahma, hang on, who am I? What am I? Like, what are we? So now it is explained there that Lord Brahma was so engaged in this creative impetus that he got confused. Right? Why? Why did he get confused? Advaitam. So in Advaita, you can get confused. Right? In Advaita, oh, devotee is supreme, oh, everyone is supreme. It can happen that, you lose track of where you are. Right? Everyone starts looking the same. Maybe I am also great. Are you noticing? All of these principles will come out. Right? So now Brahma becomes confused in that creative process. So he loses his bhakti yukta. Now what is in the inspiration given here by Krishna? See me in everything. Start seeing everything in me. In Krishna, not in him, right? Not in me, in Krishna. See Krishna in everything and see everything is in Krishna. Like that should be the vision. Right? But in that process, it is explained in Canto 11 that Brahma becomes confused. Like Brahma, he's like, what's going on? So at that time, because he's a devotee of Krishna, who comes? Hamsa avatar. Right? So the beautiful swan form arrives. So we are from 3, we are switching all the way to 11 to explain that in this process of creation, this thing can occur. This confusion can occur. Oh, okay. What happened? Right? Because in this Advayam, not Advayam, I apologize. In Advaitam, this thing can happen. This thing can occur sometimes, right? We get completely bewildered. Like when you look at the Brahmanas who refuse to give to Krishna, in one sense you can also see the Advaitam there. You can see, right? Okay, wow, you came to me for food? Are you noticing? You, the Supreme Personality of God, came to me for food. Go away. This is for Vishnu. Now, of course, it's more Paramatmeti than Advaitam, so I just want to make that point. But the idea is that you can see some bits of it. Little bit, because you're seeing similarity and you're seeing so much similarity that you can refuse. Right? Are you noticing? That is how, Krishna, when he's dealing with all the devotees, then they refuse, they fight. Sometimes, when Radharani gets angry, then Lalita Vishaka, they really get on Krishna's case. Like, really get on his case. Like in Gopal Champu, these conversations are being described, and he really gets on their cases. Right? So it's like, you can notice these things are noticeable. Like, these are noticeable facts, right? So that is because there is the Advaita principle. But the difference between the Vrajavasis is that they never lose this point, that everything is Krishna and Krishna is in everything. They never lose that point. Right? I was listening to a talk by Dinabandhu Prabhu, and it's so hilarious, right? He was talking about Kamsa. Right? And he's saying that Kamsa was so much chanting Krishna's name, like so much. Like he was into chanting Krishna's name, right? So he's like, sometimes he's sitting and he sees a shiny thing. He's like, oh, Krishna! That's Krishna! Krishna! He's screaming. And then the servants are coming, the guards are coming. What are you? Krishna, Krishna. No. Kamsa, that's just a column, man. It's just a column, relax. He's like, oh, okay. Then his two wives are coming, Jarasanda's daughters, they come. And he sees them dressed and all, Gopis, Krishna! So it's so nicely he's explaining that, oh, then this happens, then he's thinking Krishna, oh, that happens, then he's thinking Krishna. So, Dinabandhu Prabhu is giving this wonderful lecture. So he's explaining how mesmerized Kamsa got by the chanting of Krishna. So he's seeing just Krishna in everything and everywhere. Like that is, that is the level at which he's now sitting. So this principle the Vrajavasis have, and they never lose focus on who is Krishna. But sometimes we can see Lord Brahma, who is our guru. He's the firstborn. He's the firstborn. He's our in our parampara. He's the first principal person that gives the knowledge. Right. So in all of this, you will notice sometimes this happens. So in dealing with material nature, this thing can occur. This thing can occur, and Krishna will immediately come to save. That is the point, that Krishna will come to save us. Right? Please don't think that, oh, now I have got bewildered, I will not. Right? So there's this nice story, right? This devotee, he was feeling a bit morose and all, and he was saying, what is all this Krishna consciousness and stuff? So I think he goes to a cafe. And he's sitting and he sees a beautiful girl. He thought, let me chat up. He says, hi, so what's your name? So she looks at him and says, Maya. Okay? And he realizes, Krishna is saying something. You see how it connects, right? He's like, Krishna is saying something. Hare Krishna. He talks, but then he comes back. He's like, okay, let's just, read and all. So, nice story, right? Very nice realization by a devotee, but very nice the way it is explained. These things can happen. Sometimes we are in the whole let's say, like right now, this lockdown is there. So, you are trying to let people in, people out. So in this one, that Advaitam principle is there. No, you must sign it. No, you must show this. You see that principle is there. Now in that, sometimes, you may get mesmerized yourself over what's going on. Right? But then, you come, you read, and you're like, okay, Krishna is there. I'm trying to serve Krishna. So that principle must be there. So we must see everybody as devotees of Krishna, right? And we must see that all of these activities are happening under the jurisdiction of Krishna. So Gopinath wants to see your phone. Gopinath wants to see you scanning it. He wants to see it. So, okay, this is now a service. So what happens is we have to take this as a service. Not something for us to skip. No, this is the service. You must do it. Right? So, otherwise if we don't have that vision, in this Advaitam, you will start getting confused. Oh, you let the other guy in, but you didn't let me in. Oh, why you're talking harshly to me? Oh, you don't know who I am. You know how many years I've been coming? You see, all of these principles will come in the back of the head. Right? Like a shining armor, like our effulgence. You know who I am? No, it's calm down, right? So we have to, if we don't have this vision, is drashta asi. This vision, if we don't have this drashta asi, we will struggle. So this is the encouragement given to Brahma. This is the encouragement given to Brahma. So we will wind up and we will discuss that. First we are talking about Brahma. We are talking about how Brahma is being asked to do bhakti yukta. And he's being asked to do bhakti yukta, and we are explaining that how in bhakti yukta, in the in the purest form, in Vraja, in the Vraja dealings of Krishna, they look at it as an Advaita. They're like, okay, Krishna is just a friend. Krishna is just a lover. So they see that Advaita principle, right? Then we have explained how, there is this, the principles of Brahmeti, Paramatmeti and Bhagwaneti, and how our acharyas have presented the philosophies, right? And how Lord Chaitanya's Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva brings it all together, right? Makes that, dough. Now once you have a nice dough, you can make nice chapatis. So it has to be a good dough. It has to be mixed nicely, kneaded. And so Achintya Bheda Bheda is that kneaded dough. Now you can make anything beautiful with it, right? And so Lord Chaitanya brings it back. And then we focus on the drashtasi, how that vision must be there. In our natural dealings, because of this Advaita philosophy, we will have problems. We can see Brahma in Canto 11 having problems. All of that will get resolved, right? And as long as we will have Krishna there, things will get resolved, right? So yeah, so this is short shloka, so not much else to add, but that is the basic principle that we are trying to bring out here, right? So you will notice this throughout in Canto 3, that you will see the Advaita philosophy coming out, right? And then you will see the Dvaita philosophy coming out. You will see this Achintya Bheda Bheda. You're going to notice this a lot in Canto 3. So yeah, I'll end here. The devotees want to share something? Yes, Prabhu. Share. Yes. 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 Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra. So yes, it's very nice. You bring out this nice point of bewilderment. And that is going to be explained a bit further about the bewilderment, right? So that bewilderment is there. It's a very good point. And I think, someday, I'm sure devotees can sit down and explain this bewilderment. And there are so many examples in Bhagavatam of that bewilderment. It's so many, like not just one or two, so many. Oh, this guy got bewildered. Oh, that guy got bewildered. Oh, this person got bewildered. Oh, that person got bewildered. And so the why this bewilderment is there is, another very interesting point, is that in Bhagavatam, we will always see the principles of the bewilderment, not the detail. How did Jada Bharata fall in love with the deer? Not Jada Bharata, when he was King Bharata, how did he fall in love with, exactly what did he do? Was he carrying the deer the whole time? For us, this is important. Are you noticing? For us, the detail is important. But when we see the way Bhagavatam does it, this is how in management you deal with. When you look at a problem, you look at the principle of the problem. Right? But everybody wants the juice, because the detail is the juice, right? The rasa is in the detail, right? So when you read Gopal Champu, you get detail. So the rasa is in the detail. But the way Bhagavatam explains, so when you have to manage something, you have to look at the principle. In management, you have to look at principle. Right? You are not supposed to go, okay, tell me, okay, at this point did you turn, or at that point did you turn? What are you doing, right? No, you have to look at okay, this is the principle, therefore this must be the result. You getting? And so, to your point, in that bewilderment that is explained all through Bhagavatam, we will always see the principles. And why this is important is nowadays, in our modern society, when you're looking at the cancel culture, the woke culture, right? They are all into the detail. They are not worried about the principle. The principle is lacking. The detail is what is important. But then from that, you don't actually understand how to deal with. Look at our system, right? We have 10 types of prema. Once you have, gone through the 9 process, now you are in prema. Now in prema, there is a 10 breakdown. Right? So in that, there is 10. You're like, whoa. So, even something as esoteric as love can be made into a principle. So you are absolutely right that in the principle is what we deal with. Right? Not in the detail. So you are right. As we get bewildered, as devotees are there, then they look at the principle and then say, okay, then this can help. Or read this. Help this. Right? So that really helps. That's an amazing point. Yeah. Prabhu, and Madhu, you want to share something?
I was remembering how you were saying, when you begin Krishna consciousness, what will be magic? And then as soon as you get further to Krishna consciousness, how will it be magic? When you perform the work of service in the beginning, it's just somehow or other connect Krishna to it.
Yeah.
And then our period of time, when we do connect Krishna to our activities, and how
Yeah.
to see Krishna.
Correct. Yeah, that's nice. When you were saying that, in my head I was thinking, devotee walking, I can see, Krishna in his heart. Oh. So that's when you were saying that picture came in my head, like some devotees coming towards me, I can see Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, what is it? So yeah, you're right. It's hard. It is hard. Right? It's hot today. So you will be, let's say, cleaning and someone comes up, you'll be like, what, Prabhu? It's hot. What, Prabhu? And so yeah, you're right. And that's an amazing point as well. And you are right, because in this, that question is going to, that part is going to come out, that okay, now you're going to do like this. So this is what you must see. This is what, yeah, you're right. So that how is coming out, that you must keep seeing Krishna. Otherwise, eventually, a little bit here and there, and you'll be like, what did I just do? Yes, very nice point. Jai, all right. Granth Raj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.